Hi guys,
Hey,
we're still here in this Canadian winter. Um, we're filming again from our rec room at our lake house, and we can only dream of blue water, warm places, instead of this white stuff that I see outside. I think they call that snow, and the minus temperatures that we're still experiencing here. Anyway, in today's episode, we're going to spend some time in conversation with the Kinetic customer experience team, and we're going to go over some fine tuning of the interior and the exterior details when it comes to the look and feel of our catamaran Svirna. And I know that there are a lot of videos out there, I think, that talk about, boat construction. But I think you and I decided to spend a little bit more time and cover more details when it comes to the aesthetic options that are available to new buyers. And obviously, we're one of them as we are customizing our dream boat.
yeah, so you may recall from our episode where we covered our visit to the Kinetic Boatyard in Eisna. We spent a lot of time going over and selecting not only the layout and design and some of the interior details, but also selecting trim materials, fabrics, flooring, cabinetry, and all those other fine details that we wanted to make our boat ours. It was really quite a carte blanche process where we could select from dozens of different options and combinations from various suppliers available. It wasn't any preset package or combination of recommended themes that were presented to us, so we could have gone hog wild with all the choices until we, got a boat that was a crazy eyesore. So
Yeah, luckily I kept things under control as this is my domain, right?
yes, yes, dear. Happy wife, happy life.
Yes, you may have gotten your statement hull color, that's for sure, and your sale plan, but in any partnership, I think, we have to make joint decisions, and I being the better half, maybe, maybe not. I do make perhaps things more livable and practical on a day to day basis. So I think it's quite important. And not only that, but we did finish, what was it, a 2 year long
Yeah.
renovation that we did on our lake house. So we were already, I think, well versed on renos, choosing things, combining various items in our on our lake house. So Sphyrna is going to be like our second home. So I think it's very important that, we make the best choices. Again, it's a partnership and we decide together. Perhaps you focus more on the outside and, the performance, sale plan and all
Yeah.
that. And I'll make some choices on the interior and the color, scheme on the inside.
Yeah, so I guess it's not like how I choose clothes to dress myself, but anyway. So let us show you what Svirna is going to look like as our home on the water in this episode. Come join us.
Welcome to Second Wind Adventures, where we start the next chapter in our life where retirement can be fun, exciting, and challenging.
Follow along with us as we continue to transition from our regular full-time work life to a more flexible lifestyle that includes cottage living, adventure travel, and our dream to circumnavigate the globe on the sailing catamaran.
This is us, Alina and Monty. We would love if you joined us so that we can share with you the trials of achieving our goals.
Okay, so hello from Canada. It's snowing up here. It's good to see you guys. Today we have Jed and Amy from Kinetic, and let you introduce yourselves.
Hey guys. Great to see you too. We are in Cape Town at the moment. It's swelteringly hot here, 33 degrees outside, so quite a contrast from your guys' snowed under kind of situation. I'm Jed and this is Amy. We handle the Kinetic Brand Experience and the general aesthetics all around the brand. That goes from everything from logos, videos, photography, all the way through to kind of what the boats look like. So we work with the clients in order to help choose fittings, finishings, colors of the boats, to basically help you get a visual representation of your boat before it's in build, and to help you make those decisions. Because, you know, at the end of the day, what your boat looks like is part of your personality, and it shapes as you move. So yeah, that's really our role within Kinetic.
Great. And thanks for sending the document. So, you know, we want to spend just a few minutes today walking through the document. And by the way, I think it's a great follow-up to our visit last fall, or last November for us. And we were certainly very excited after, you know, seeing one of the boats in person and getting a real, you know, hands-on look at, you know, what the finished build looks like. So, you know, very excited to make this boat our own. And I think by working with you guys, it's really going to give us an idea of what the, you know, our own finishing touches is going to look like on the final product.
No, I agree. And just as much as it's so important to, you know, look at, you know, performance and all that, like, let's not underestimate, we're going to be living on the boat, you know, looking at what the boat looks like, right? And it's so important to like what you see on the boat. So I think this is actually quite important. All right.
Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm just...
Absolutely. You know, at the end of the day, depending on the use of your boat, it's a home on the water.
Exactly.
You know, so having the actual aesthetics and look and feel of the boat reflect your personality, it's a big thing. And yeah, that's our goal, to work with you guys to be able to really kind of like help the boat show up and reflect you in the best way possible.
Absolutely. And just as a general statement, when you guys send back, you know, the proposed sort of color combination and all that, that was after we had that discussion. You guys are bang on. You actually absorbed all the feedback we gave you, because I looked at the colors and everything, and I'm like, this is great. That's exactly what I would have picked. So yeah, very pleased with that. So yeah.
I'm so glad to hear that.
Yes.
That's awesome
Yes.
news. You know,
Yes.
like I said, it's a back and forth. The more we understand you, the better that we can kind of reflect that in the kind of finishings of the boat.
Yeah.
With that being said, there's still a long way to go. We still need to work with you a lot, and there's still a lot of decisions to be made. And over time, your kind of thoughts may change, but you know, that's what we're here for.
Yeah. Well, we got a good start, so let's go through it.
Cool.
Okay, so I'm going to just minimize you a bit here, and okay, I've got the document in front of us, so I'll just scroll into the next page.
Cool. So, I mean, if you skip to page number 2, Monty, that's just the basic setup, right? So, you know, Kinetic always has its own branding on the boats, but ultimately it reflects you, and the hull that you guys are buying is KC5405, right? So we do a little lockup that works well on the sails, but again, these can kind of change, but this is really just to introduce the hull number that you guys are taking. And then skipping through to page number 3, you guys have made this decision already. You know, you've been kind of marinating on this boat purchase for a while, and finding the name for the boat and developing this logo from a tattoo artist that's quite close to you guys. And, you know, that's kind of been the theme that runs through this entire document, is how to kind of best represent this logo mark that goes throughout the boat. And to that, we still need to tweak this a little bit to make it show up correctly on the boat. But yeah, this has kind of been the guiding light in terms of the rest of the document. So I'm going to skip through to page number 4. So the next thing that we kind of need to establish is, you've always got your kind of like graphic or logo mark, and then there's the words Ferner, which you guys have decided on, that needs a kind of typeface and its own word mark to go along with it. So it's important that it reflects the logo and kind of is a combined whole. And, you know, choosing the word mark, because the actual artwork of the logo is so intricate, finding something that kind of balances it and makes it quite legible and easy to read, but also simple in its own right, is quite important. So we've put together a couple of options here to talk through. The first one is quite simple and modern, And then if we jump through to the next page, we start kind of pulling in hints of the kind of weight of the graphic itself. So thicks and thins, and kind of really leaning into that Polynesian tribal aesthetic. And then working through into page number 6, a very similar vibe, again reflecting kind of details within the logo that come through in the actual word mark. I don't think any of these word marks are 100% resolved yet. They still need a bit of love and work, and obviously depending on how we choose to kind of place the graphic on the boat, we would probably end up changing the word mark, but they're kind of just conversation points for now to get us started as to where we could end up. And then I think number 7 is the last version of this word mark. It's important to get the correct balance between the word mark and the logo, so we'll work on those in application of the boat in terms of how they show up.
Yeah, and just before we leave the word mark, our thoughts on what you've done here. We do like the first one because it's modern, and because we have a very modern theme to the interior of the boat, having carbon throughout, and that blackout kind of look. We thought modern would be good, but we do also like some of the script that you have there, because Sphyrna is a Greek word, and some of the script does kind of look, shall I say, Greek or Gothic. So we'll have to kind of throw around sort of an idea of what which theme we want to.
Okay,
Great.
So the color palette we've kind of decided on already. We know that the hulls, you have chosen an orange. What particular orange that is, we still need to discuss and decide. We have the thought of black sails. Again, that may change to white or grey sails. Within the North 3DR range, you only have options of black, grey or white. And then pairing with those sails, depending on where we end up, it could be white artwork, it could be black. You have an affinity to blue as well. So we'll change that up, but it's important for us to kind of look at all the options and render out what the boat could look like before we kind of lean into these decisions.
That's good.
And again, my feedback here is that we chose chose the orange color, and I do think that that's such a focal point that all the other colors should complement orange as opposed to competing with that. Otherwise, in my opinion, I think it's going to be too much. That's why I'm in favor of blue, but I also am conscious that it may compete with orange, and I don't want that to happen. So again, I leave that to you to make sure that
we don't go overboard
We
on
don't
color.
go
It's an
overboard.
exercise of what would it look like.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
doing the exercise and going, okay, maybe it's a little bit loud or too much. But to your point, Alina, we 100% agree, because the hull is going to be such a statement
Yes.
color and so bright. I think toning the rest of the boat down. Otherwise, when you move through different areas of the boat, it's all going to be quite loud and in your face. If that's what you're going for, cool. But I think after kind of like week 1, month 1, you might be like, wow, like I'm getting a little bit of a visual overload. I need some sort of quiet space on the boat. So those are just our opinions. Again, it's a journey with you guys. So if you want something louder, we're happy to lean there, but we're also happy to steer you in a direction that you're going to be happy with long term, rather than a flash in the pan.
Yep.
Okay, so this is basically just the profile of the boat in terms of what it looks like in a flat vector version. So taking the kind of colors and applying them in a illustrative way, this is what your boat could look like, right? So we've spoken about the orange hulls. We're looking at a 1-inch black boot top line, white details on the black sails, and then it's just looking at basic sizes in terms of what size are your sail numbers. Are they 8 inches, 10 inches? What are the standards? But this just gives you a very quick snapshot of the boat in an illustrative way before kind of going into too much detail as to what the whole color specifics look like in a photographic render. And then we can skip into the really fun stuff on page 12 when you start really kind of delving into whole colors. What I'd suggest here, Monty, we'd love to hear your guys' thoughts first before we kind of jump into it in terms of I know you've seen this already via messages and whatever, but on full screen you maybe not have seen it yet. But yeah, this is the kind of McLaren orange option through all group that you're kind of looking at. So yeah, chat us through it, and then we can jump in as well.
Yeah, we sat through and reviewed each of the different shades of orange that you have here, and we're leaning towards not the flat orange or the very bright orange, because one of the reasons why we like this sort of slightly darker hue of orange with a metallic and with a metallic, sort of color in it is so that, when you see, especially cars that are painted in that color, you can see the colors change with the amount of light it gets. So we think it's a great way to not necessarily like have something really super loud and bright, but to have something which is a little bit, sort of transformative depending on how much light it gets. And we don't want to have it, like I said, too loud, but we definitely like the way this this color looks. Like even in this render, I think the only issue is it's hard to tell. Even like I've got a high resolution monitor here, it's hard to tell exactly the differences between the shades, other than the fact that we can see the difference when it's loud.
Close.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's tricky, and the beauty with this kind of shade in a metallic is that your boat feels alive. Like you said, it always transforms depending on how the light hits.
Exactly, and
it's pretty cool. Like when you turn a corner or you get
Yes.
full light or in shade, your boat's going to kind of feel different all the time, which is pretty great.
Yeah.
It's almost like pearlescent.
Yes,
because you've got this undertone of darks and lights. Always pick
Exactly.
up different things.
Exactly. That is the color. And we're trying to stay away from the boat looking like a big pumpkin, right? So we don't want the flat orange color.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah. So
we're on page 19 now, and
do this quickly.
yeah, and when we saw this, I think originally we had talked about a blue-colored a reacher or asymmetric sail here, and we actually kind of changed our mind because we think the white is a nice contrast, especially against the logo and with the the white batten stripes on the mainsails and the
Absolutely.
staysails. So
Either white or gray.
yeah,
It's okay. But blue, I think, is
It
too
looks
much.
really good. Because your reacher is always, or your kite is always a little bit of a thinner fabric, you always get this transparency through it. So even if you have a clean white sail, you're going to have moments of it being kind of transparent and grey. So you're going to see your darker sails through it if you end up with black sails. So it's something to bear in mind. And especially when they start overlapping the fabric in the tension areas, so in all three corners of the sail, it overlaps and it's going to go a slightly darker color, like a grey. So yeah, this profile shot of the boat really kind of brings everything together and gives it a bit of life. Obviously, we may change the size of the graphic or change the graphic to be at a different angle, up, down. Those are all decisions that we can make, but this really kind of brings things into perspective. And going with a white kite, again, talking about being in the sun and the water, colors fade. So granted, you're not flying a kite all the time, but if you have a bright royal blue kite, 5, 6, 10 years down the line, it's not going to be bright royal blue anymore. The sun's going to have faded it. So it's going to be like a more washed out blue. So white is always a very safe bet. It's really classic. And, going with this Polynesian theme that you have through the boat, that kind of white and black, that contrast really kind of like stays true to the general aesthetic.
Yeah, I like it.
yeah, looks great.
Yeah, looks good.
And just a quick question about the logo: is it going to be on just one side of the head sail, or is it sort of printed on a mirror image on the other side?
It's generally on one side,
Okay.
but we'll chat to North Sales about it in terms of how they would like to apply it. Sometimes it is like a vinyl stuck onto the sail, other times it's hand painted, other times it's printed on. So depending on the finish that you want, we can work with them to kind of really fine tune that. But generally, you fly on both sides of the boat, so it's always worthwhile trying to mirror it to be on both sides. At least it's not a word. If it's a word, it's tricky because on the one side it's left, on the other side it's not. With a graphic, there's a lot more forgiveness. They can just paint both sides and make sure we're just. So you'll see the same thing.
Sounds
side.
good.
We think the black bootstrap's good too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I think it's good.
Yeah.
So these are renders really just to kind of give you an idea of different options in terms of paint and how we can apply it in different sails of the boat. So this is just not looking at particular color. This is just looking at how we apply it. So we know from our initial discussions, you would like to see an option of a band of color around the coach roof.
Yes.
So those are kind of things that we looked at here, different sail colors, different kind of colors on the sail in terms of, is it a white sail, is it black sail, are there white batten lines or blue batten lines. So this is really just exploration as to how it could show up.
Yeah, because on page 22, where we have got the hull color on the edge of the coach roof, I think that looks good because it really makes the blackout on the windows stand out, right?
The top, you've got the solar.
Well, that's on the very top of the coach
So
roof.
there's no orange on top.
No.
It's
It's
just
just
a little
around the edge. Oh, and by the way, I know it's missing in this photo, but same around the solar arch, right? So that would look, consistent. Okay, so I'm on 23 now with, is this a gray sail or white?
Yes, so even though the white sail isn't 100% white, it always has this kind of like gray undertone. So this is a more gray option. Obviously the sun is kind of making it even darker than it is because it's in shadow at the moment. But yeah, the gray and the white would have a similar kind of feel to this, but I would say this is definitely veering more on the gray side.
Okay. No, it all looks good, but I still have a preference for the darker sails. More trendy.
I really do like the white. It makes the boat feel bigger for some reason, and yeah, it just feels it's interesting. Even the white sails, it feels like your boat is lighter on the top, but the darker sails, it feels like it's heavier. And if you look at the kind of the spatial awareness, so if you look at the boom and the size of the kind of weird gap between the boom and the coach roof when the sail is black versus when it's white, it feels like the boat is a lot lighter when the sail is white.
Yeah,
like
no, I understand.
bigger.
I
It's
get your
interesting
point.
how it kind of plays with the eyes.
Yeah.
But it's a good exercise to see.
Yeah, because certainly with the black battens too, it's a nice contrast when the sail's this color, right? So.
Yeah.
Oh, and here's our blue.
Yep.
Okay.
I probably wouldn't go with.
Well, I think this is the original idea we had, and I think it's good to see because now we're introducing another bright color, and we can see it is visually, especially on the sails, of course.
Yeah, I like
I think
the
in reality it could be very striking.
Yeah, absolutely. Depending on how the sun hits the sails as well, it could be really, really bright. It looks good, but it's another element.
Of heat.
And already the general aesthetic of these boats is pretty minimal and simple. So the more you kind of add to it, it kind of detracts from the look and feel of the actual design that Simonis Vogt have put forward. So the classic editions of black and white really kind of like show true, and because your hull color is so striking and bold, keeping the rest of the boat kind of like toned down a little bit.
Yeah.
For me, is a really kind of a step in the right direction.
Well, it's good to actually go through these renders because I think it would be scary for us if we said we want this color, and this color, and then we don't see it until it's all put together in the final product, and then we go, oh man, that looks terrible. So
we've seen boats with like a multicolor wraps around the boat. So if you want to add a sunset in and some seagulls and palm trees, like let's go. Okay, so let's chat about interior. So when you guys came down for your first visit, you went through all of the actual tangible swatches to kind of get a look and feel together of what the finishes will be. So you chose countertops, you chose your joinery finishes, you chose your flooring, you chose some seating and covers, and especially awnings as well. So this is really just to clarify that document going, these are the finishes that you have chosen, and putting them all into one place so you get a holistic look and feel through the boat as to what these things could look like. Again, it's not too far down the line to make any changes here. But yeah, you've gone with quite like a textured, in terms of visual countertop, a bamboo veneer finish on all of the kind of joinery. Your floor is a little bit more toned down grey wood finish vinyl. And then the seating, correct me if I'm wrong, But yeah, like a more neutral kind of seating option inside. And then I don't know if you did choose your window or sun covers for the outside of the window.
No,
this
we
was just a
didn't.
suggestion from us because we know that you like the dark.
Yeah.
So there's tons of options here. If you want to add them blue, here's an opportunity as well.
Oh gosh,
If
yeah.
you make the suggestion.
No, I
But
don't
yeah,
think so.
there's a whole bank of options here. There could be charcoal, there could be a lighter cream color, there could be white. We can change that up. We do suggest the darker ones, purely for wear and tear.
And also for aesthetic, it'll go really well with orange.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think it was Kealoha that had this dark charcoal on their covers
Yes.
as well, right? Because we saw that and it looked pretty good. So
I think Kiloa might actually have two options. They might have a lighter one hidden away somewhere as well, depending on where they're at. They may use either, but majority of the time, from what we've seen, they do definitely use the darker ones, and it looks really, really good.
yeah, it looks good to me
Again,
too.
I really like the colors. Really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it all works
It looks
really
great.
beautifully together, and it's all quite like neutral and clean
Yes.
as well, which I think is really nice for the exterior of the boat. Like we can add in some more color and
Right.
some pattern stuff if you want to.
Yeah,
But as a base,
the smaller bits and pieces. You know, if you start with a kind of neutral base that's going to see you into 25 years, you can always change a cushion
Right.
cover or whatever to add in
Exactly.
those pops of color,
Yeah.
of life and excitement where you
Yeah.
need it.
I'm such a fan of the bamboo. I love it so much.
To actually see that color in person, Kealoha kind of reaffirmed our
Yeah.
initial
Yeah.
selection. So
Are you going with the vertical grain or here?
yes,
yes, but
yeah,
you can also go horizontal.
yeah, I think vertical would.
Do you
be-
think that it would make a difference if it was horizontal, or? I mean, I'm sure it does make a difference, but do you think we should consider horizontal versus vertical?
Personally, again, personal opinion, I don't think so. I think the vertical looks a
Yeah.
lot better and it makes
Okay.
the space feel bigger.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Horizontal, you'll have a lot of horizontal lines running. Then you know the change up from your floorboards running horizontally
Right.
and then your joinery running vertically. It really kind of adds a little bit of dynamic energy to the
Okay.
boat rather than
Yeah.
everything running the same
I
way.
agree. I agree. Okay. Yeah, I really like, see, that's exactly like perfect. You guys caught the essence of what I'm looking
this page
for.
31?
Yeah, 31. Yeah.
Yeah, page 31.
yeah.
Yes.
It's good to see
Yes.
everything
It's-
together,
It's,
you
good.
know,
It's
yeah.
good. It complements really well. I have to adjust, I think, the inside, and you guys have done a good job with the orange outside. Not to compete with it. So I think you guys did a great job. And like you said, we can put a pop of color with one cushion here and there, but not go overboard. So I think this is great. I'm really happy what you guys have here.
Yeah, because we got
Really
this
nice.
salon.
Very nice.
That's so,
So
good to hear.
yeah, what we do here is we will always spec things that we can actually source and put in here. So all of the items in here
okay.
are real things that we can
Yeah.
put on the boat, and they're all lightweight. They don't break.
Yeah.
It's all spec'd to what we can actually get. Again, we can fit the boat out with all of these bits and
Yeah.
pieces, or we can also wait until you guys are here and go on the journey with you and take you to all the different stores to collect these things as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shopping? Oh, you're going to be happy. Okay, so
So yeah,
we're...
it's your preference if you want to move on board and it's like a fully kitted house, or you'd like to go through the journey and really feel things out and change
Yeah.
crockery, cutlery,
Yeah.
little
Oh, well,
bits of
doesn't matter.
I know you want
But
to
you
go
know, like
shopping.
using color in like linens as well, like your kitchen cloths, you know,
Yes.
like your hand towels, all of those things. It's such like simple ways of
Yes.
bringing in little pops, which is really nice. Also, one thing I wanted to bring up is the knives and forks, the cutlery. We put pictures in here of them being black just to
Oh,
like
let me just put
tie
it
them in with the other black
Yeah.
accessories.
Oh, I
that's
didn't
a
even
personal
notice
choice.
that with the black, but oh, I like that. I like that.
like? Okay,
Yes, I
cool.
do. I do. I think that's really cool. Yeah.
Again, it's going to be a thing where either we can kit out the boat or wait until you're here and you can get them in your hands and feel that tangible.
Yeah, but I like the
Alright,
idea,
so-
Amy.
So the next section we're going to talk about the vinyl or the logos, right?
Yeah, so this is the artwork applied to the boat. There's many different options here. There's lots of different ways we can do this. So it's really just going how much of the theme of Polynesia or Polynesian tattoo art do we kind of want to pull through the boat. So the first page is obviously the logo, big and bold on the hull. We also need to establish, if we're doing a logo on the hull, are we going to have it on the kite as well? Because, at some point you're going to have the kite showing, with the logo on the hull. Or do we kind of like put a different graphic on the kite and always show the logo on the hull? So those are options that we kind of play through. In this document, there's one option where when you're flying the kite, the kind of the logo kind of marries the hull and the kite together, which is pretty cool.
Really cool.
So you've got this kind of like hint of something where it's just this kind of like tribal design on the side of the hull, and you don't realize that it's a tail of the shark until you kind of fly your kite and you're like, oh wow, okay, now this thing means business.
Yeah, I'm just scrolling to that right now because I noticed in some of the shots too, you've reversed the logo to the back, name on the front.
Just to get an idea.
Yeah, it's purely just to give you a feeling. I did look at another graphic within this area where, I think it's on page number 47. So here, for instance, if we keep the logo on the kite, right? How do we pull, the Polynesian shark really on the kite? How do we pull through a small element of that Polynesian influence through into the hull? So there's this kind of like dividing line that meets the window line that is full of Polynesian kind of details that are brought from the logo itself. So there's a nice marriage between the logo itself on the kite and this whole design. And it carried through the window line, which is quite nice and aggressive and sharp.
Yeah. As we were looking through this when we got the document, one of the thoughts I had was it's nice to have the the logo on the kite, but my thought was people who see the boat at anchor, as an example, or when you're not flying the kite, are going to see the name, but they're not going to be able to associate the fact that the name actually means hammerhead, unless they see the logo, which has a hammerhead on it. So I kind of do want to keep both visible, so that for those in the know, that they'll be able to associate. Oh yeah, that's a shark. That
I agree.
Yeah.
So,
that makes sense.
and I agree with Monty insofar as if we do have the name of the boat, Sferna, on the hull, we should have the image of a shark because it ties in, it explains why the boat is named Sferna. My concern, if we were to have the picture of the shark and the name on the hull, I'm thinking it's too much if we have the picture of the shark also on the sail. In my opinion, it's too much. So either we do a Polynesian, symbol or something on the sail and keep the picture of a shark. I just feel that it's going to be too much, so
An example.
just to
like.
No, there's no example here with both of them, shark or design on the kite and on the hull. The closest is page number 48. There's that detail where you can see the shark on the kite.
Right. Because here are my thoughts. Like I do think on page 50, the split between the tail and the sail looks pretty cool. Like I have seen racing boats with like split logo on like the head sail and the mainsail, and I think that's pretty neat. Yeah. And this looks cool too because you can sort of make out you'll definitely see the tail all the time, then you can see the rest of the picture. But I think if you take the kite away, like I'm almost thinking that a hybrid of this one would be to have a smaller logo on the bow, but have it like a lot smaller and just vertically oriented. So then you do see the whole logo of the shark. But then when you put the kite up, all of a sudden you see the horizontal and the big version that you have here, which I think is
So you
kind of
just
neat.
said the opposite of what
I know,
just
because
said.
you think this is bad feng shui, and I don't necessarily agree with that. But
I didn't say it's
yeah.
bad feng shui. I said it's too much if you have the logo on the hull and the same logo on the sail.
Yeah, but we'll change that by making it smaller and changing the orientation, because then, like, remember, you're only going to see the rest of the shark in this particular render when the kite is up, or the asymmetric's up, right?
try kind of like visualize what I'm going to explain here. If you're on page number 50, if you turn the graphic down, so you've got the kind of head of the shark on the hull of the boat, so it feels like it's kind of diving down underneath. So the part that's showing on the hull all the time will be literally the hammerhead, and then running up the sail would be more of the kind of like tail end of the shark, which will almost feel like a spear. So we can play around with those for sure, but I hear you in terms of reading the name and then needing to kind of like qualify what the name means with a hammerhead somewhere on the hull. So yeah, it's something that we can definitely work towards to kind of make sure those two are always visible together when you're on the dock and you don't necessarily flying the kite.
Yeah, the other option is if you have one tail and the two heads. So if you have the tail there and then you continue on the hull with the body, but also have the same tail connecting to the shark that's on the sail. That's another option. And that way, when the sail is down, you still have, you know what I mean?
You got a two-headed shark.
There's a two-headed shark.
Okay, we'll talk about that one.
But anyway,
there's elements that we can bring through. So behind the kind of shark element here, there is this just like almost half moon or crescent moon of this Polynesian design. So there's elements that we can pull from that as well. So, if we do have the shark on the hull, maybe up the sail there's running like that kind of element.
Yeah.
So there's lots to work with.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, definitely you've given us some additional, thoughts and, the renderings. I also do like just having the logo front and center on the kite. I think that looks great, especially if that sail is flying. So
you guys did a really good job.
Downwind all the time.
Hey, but I did get the boat with centerboard, so I could sail upwind too. If there's one thing I learned from racing our little beach cat is like I hate not being able to go upwind.
You chose the right boat then, for sure.
Yeah. Okay, so I think that was the last rendering. Yeah, so that's great.
Oh, great job. You guys did awesome.
Yeah.
Congrats. Yeah. So a big thank you goes out to Amy and Jed for the walkthrough of our initial look and feel design document. There will be more to come as the build continues, and we talk about other items like electronics, system management, rigging, sail plan, and so forth.
And next episode, we'll return to the ocean and practice more catamaran sailing on a charter boat in the Caribbean. So don't miss out by liking and subscribing. See you soon, and thanks for watching.